Happy August, everyone. We are glad to be on with you guys tonight, and happy to be joined by three of my good friends. We got Mr. Drew, Mr. Robbie, and Barrick joining us for the first time from the new state of Florida. So,
yes, sir.
Florida.
Podcast just keeps spreading to different states, different parts of the country. So we love to see it, and we might have our first wildlife animal sighting on the podcast as well, with Barrick's feline friend back there. Just excited for some baseball talk this evening. So boys, how we doing? Drew, you have having a good week? Start to the week, all that fun
Start
stuff.
to the week, end of the week. Oh, down here at the lake, man. It's been out on the boat today. Little sun, little booze. Good day. Can't complain, man. Little man's inside with grandma, and
Love it.
Oldest one's upstairs, knocked out with his mom, I believe. Mom's knocked out right now. She'll wake up eventually, but it'll be okay. All good, man. Oldest one graduates from pre-K this week, so it's gonna be an exciting week for him.
Woo. Welcome to the real world, kid.
Yep, there's kindergarten.
Cheers.
Oh, too funny. Rob, how things going?
It's my Denzel Washington clap for Barry Clifton. My man.
It's funny you mentioned him.
I've
been on like a Denzel kick. I've been just watching like a ton of Denzel stuff recently.
He's
the
good.
same wavelength.
That's funny you say that because before we went to bed last night, we were watching Flight.
There we go.
So that's crazy right there.
That's quite a movie.
Sure.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure our theme for the podcast will now be Denzel Washington. So let's see how many times in this podcast we can weave Mr. Washington into our conversation.
There you
We
go.
will be perfect in every aspect of this podcast.
No slip ups, no bad talk.
That is one. I will keep score.
Yeah. For those of you counting, just keep track
The
of Rob there.
The old Denzel Washington meter, number one. No, we've been doing really well. It's blazing hot, just like it is everywhere. But moving into August means school's gonna be starting back up soon, and for me, as much as New Year's feels like a new year, this part of the year feels like the start of a new year.
Yeah.
For teachers, for people who work in education, the cycle of a new year, August, September is kind of new year.
Yeah.
So it's exciting.
Yeah, I would say that's interesting you bring that point up because, unfortunately me kind of being more in the corporate world of life, I only get that once a year. Like you said, it's pretty much a new year. You set goals for the new year and do all that stuff in January. It would be kind of nice to have like a second New Year feeling, so to speak. The closest I think I get to that is opening day baseball. But that's, not far after. The smell of fresh cut grass.
My man.
These fields. The blood of young men boiling. Anyway,
my fault. I may have just extended this podcast by another 20 minutes.
That's two.
Anyway,
where's my Post-its when I need them?
Yeah, really.
Yeah. Post it. Rob needs to make it back into needs to make an appearance again. So
I was using my surroundings, but yeah, whatever.
Yeah. But anyway, again, point of that, that's really cool. That's a good way to think about it. Maybe I'll try to figure out how to get a new start to my year sometime in August somehow. So I did move into a new office on Friday, so maybe that's the start of my new year this year. So
there you
go. Okay.
Yeah. So
exciting.
Barrick, how's moving, as we've talked about on and off the pod, is never fun and never easy. But how are things, all things considered?
Yeah, man, it's good to be in Florida. I'm glad to be back. Plethora of complications that kept me away from the podcast for the last couple of weeks, but glad to be back. But yeah, it's been fun. Definitely enjoying being in Florida and kind of a new start. It's funny because everybody's talking about it, being hot outside, and I'm like, every time I go outside, I'm like, oh, it feels good out here, man. It's not 118 degrees, man. This is kind of nice. So
Barbecue weather. Yeah.
I'm telling you, yeah. So it's been great. We've been enjoying it. That's the cat in the background. That is Denzel. So we're let's just keep this rolling.
I love it.
But yeah, no. So everything's been good, and it's been a fun couple of weeks of baseball. So looking forward to chatting about it a little bit.
Well, since you didn't get to join us last week, I want to give you an opportunity to kind of build a soapbox for you. Is there any complaints you would like to make about some teams or some stadiums that are down in your area that you tried to recently visit?
Yeah. So, no, I'm not going to call anybody out, but let's just say there's a third party ticket exchange company that let me down trying to get into a Florida baseball team that's on the west coast of Florida.
Did they recently draft an East Forsyth alum?
There you go. Yeah. I think I
First round?
I went up to them and I was like, hey, I know that guy. And they're like, really? I was like, well, no, not really, but I kind of know him. They're like, do you really know? And I was like, okay, no, I don't. And I had to leave and go home. But yeah, so tried to do some firsthand scouting. They saw right through it, and the nice thing is they did not reimburse for parking either. So
Oh God,
love that so much.
That's not a cheap parking spot over there.
I know. I park. I walk up to the front. They're like, no. I walk back. I'm like, okay, bye.
Yikes.
Yeah, it's not cheap parking there. Speaking of that,
so, yeah, we got some things to work out. But yeah, it's like you said, moving always has its ups and downs. So that was a down, but we'll get back.
That third ticket site that may have something to do with standing jocks. They need to get their stuff together. So
yeah.
Wait,
did
that dog just eat that cat?
I was gonna say that's Washington. So we got Denzel. We got Washington.
That is hilarious. That dog said, "This is my spot."
Yeah,
Look at him. He's just like,
I want to be on camera right now. Get out of my limelight.
He's not an attention hog at all by any means.
I love it. That's awesome.
The name on the front of my chest is a hell of a lot more important than the name on the back of my chest. That's 3.
Oh man. Well, good. I'm glad to hear everything's going great. Same with me. It's just, summer has been great with baseball so far, and this week was a little bit tougher than most. We'll get into that a little bit later in the pod, but life, I think we were all kind of saying it's pretty crazy how the summer seems to have flown by. We're going to be in September before we know it. Football's going to be starting before we know it. Playoff baseball is going to be here before we know it. So a lot of good things to look forward to as we kind of start coming up here into the fall months. And that means for us in the South, a little bit cooler weather, even though with me being in the mountains, I'm not struggling too hard. Just, I don't want to rub it in for anybody, but it was like 67 degrees here today. So,
oh my gosh, get out of here.
I don't think I've seen 67 on mine in a month.
Yeah.
It's like a low, even a low. I'd take a 67 for a low, not even close.
67. The feels like today up. The feels like today up here was like 106.
Yeah.
Same.
I know a beautiful place.
It's only like, I mean, it's 93, but it's like, just feel like 93.
Yeah. We get a lot of that. We get a lot of that benefit here. I see a lot on the weather app. 70 degrees feels like 70 degrees.
Yeah, really.
So, anyway, in typical fashion for the week, we will start the pod after all of that with our stack bet recaps from last week. So we did get to input some stack bets to get us back on track last week. Drew, Robbie, and myself put them in from the pod last week. not a great week, especially since a lot of our bets surrounded the Braves, which again, we're kind of alluding to the tough week that they had this week. But as a recap, if anyone's new, Stack Bets was just something we created for the podcast to have some competition and some friendly way for us to kind of go back and forth and keep track throughout the season. So essentially, we all get 50 stacks a week as long as you participated in last week's Stack Bet information, or so to speak, and that's just fake money for us to put bets out on things that we're going to hope to see happen throughout the week. Drew has even introduced us into the minor league level, so we're all across the board when it comes to our stacked bets. So at the end of, so I'll go through them real quick. So last week, Drew put up 50 stacks that the Braves would win 4 or more games. Unfortunately, that did not hit by a lot. He put up 25 stacks that the Braves would win the series versus the Mets. That unfortunately also did not happen. 25 stacks that Austin Riley would hit 2 or more home runs this week. That did not happen. But his saving grace, he did bet 50 stacks that the Orioles would win both series this week, and they did. So,
and they almost swept both
series. So, he did pick up a solid win on that one. So this week, Drew took home 100 stacks to push his total this week to close last week to 230 stacks. So he will start this week with 280 stacks after we credit him the 50. Robbie threw up 1 stack bet last week. He put up 60 stacks that the Braves would win the Mets series as well. Unfortunately, that did not hit. So Robbie will start this week off with 180 stacks after we add the 50 for this week. I put up 2 stack bets and surprisingly hit both of them. So that was a pleasant surprise for the week. I put up 25 stacks each that Dansby Swanson would have 5 hits this week, and Austin Riley would have 5 hits this week. So I was able to cash in a cool 100 stacks to bring my total up to 100 after the all-in pre-All-Star break bet that I did and unfortunately lost. So this week I will start with 150 stacks as we go in. So we will put out our new stack bets for the week at the end of the episode, and look forward to catching up and hopefully get back into the stack bet race a little bit after falling behind after my all-in feat there. So we'll see what happens. So we got to get the podcast back on track too. We need some good vibes, some good feelings rolling through our stack bets. So
looks like a good week.
Yeah. Barrick, the good news is you moved to a state that still has legal gambling and North Carolina still does not. So
actually, Florida's still trying to work on it.
They don't have it?
No. So
interesting.
I went. Louisiana was all in. No pun intended. Florida's still trying to work on it, but hopefully soon.
Well, we were talking last week. We thought everything was legal in Florida. So
I was gonna say it seems like it's one of the only things that isn't. So
yeah,
I don't know what actually not to nobody cares about the details, but apparently it has a lot to do with the Indian tribes or the Native American tribes, because there's a lot of they've kind of had the monopoly on betting for a long time, so they're they don't want to give that up to online companies and stuff like that. So apparently there's a lot of trying to work that out between the two. So that's kind of what the holdup is, but
yeah,
hopefully soon.
Supposedly the same issue in North Carolina as well. So, yeah. So anyway, hopefully one day it will be a world where we can all gamble together with $100,000 chips. That's not a Denzel reference, but still pretty funny.
It should be.
All right. Well, I've tried to kind of delay this as long as I could, to be honest, and the time has come. So the Braves had a 7-game in 6 days stretch this week, 2 against the Phillies and then 5 against the Mets, and just kind of fell flat, to be honest. I don't know. There did not seem to be much energy on the field from the Braves standpoint. The Mets seem to have a lot of energy. The fans in Shea Stadium or Citi Field or whatever they're calling it these days is pretty electric right now, which is good for them. I think MLB loves when New York is good at baseball, and they've got both teams doing that this year. So that's interesting. But so the Braves early in the week split the series with the Phillies. They win the first game 13-1, then drop the second game day game, which we were talking in our group chat throughout the week. I need to go back and look at what it is, but the Braves not very good in afternoon day game series finales this year. It's not.
I think
not
they've
too
lost
great.
10 of their last 12 series finales.
Yeah, something like that.
I think that's right.
So not great. So they lose the series finale of that one 3-1, and then travel up to New York and play the Mets 5 games in 4 days. Lose game 1 6-4. Win game 2 on Saturday, Thursday. Win or lose 6-4. Friday win 9-6. They drop the doubleheader on Saturday 8-5 and 6-2, and then drop the series finale today 5-2. The one win of the series came against Taijuan Walker, which, to be honest, is good. I mean, he's a pretty good pitcher, but
you won't see him in the playoffs.
Yeah. So against their bread and butter, the Braves lineup did not look very good. So just a tough week. I don't really know what else to say about it.
It's August.
It wasn't fun. I do think Braves Twitter is overreacting a bit because, as Drew said, it is August. It's early-ish. But I would have liked to have seen, and we kind of chatted about this in the group, there just didn't seem to be a competitiveness to it. I don't know. I don't know if that's the right word. There just seemed to be something lacking. I don't know if anybody else has any thoughts they want to share.
It's August, and a lot of breaks went the Mets' way. It happens. I'm much rather than go the Mets' way, but I mean, end of the day, it's the last time we got to go to Citi Field this year. Next 2 times we play the Mets, they're at home.
Yep.
So that's a positive thing. They got to come to Truist and deal with it down there, and
yep.
Things will go our way, and you know how it is at Truist. It's going to be rowdy. It's going to be just as rowdy, but it's going to be for the Braves instead of against the Braves, and maybe the Mets fall flat the next 2 times they have to come to Atlanta.
Yeah. I mean,
yeah. And I mean, at the end of the day, we're still first place in the wild card. We're 5.5 out.
Yep.
I mean, at June we were at 10.5 out, so
we're 6.5 out.
6.5 out. Sorry, 5.5 when I looked before they lost. But
yeah, I'll be honest with you. This is the first time in a while that I felt like the Braves played nervous. I mean, shoot, we had we had a lot of defensive mistakes at prolonged innings. You can say there was some bad luck stuff, and that's all well and good. But I'll be honest with you, like, the bad luck stuff doesn't happen to the really good teams.
Yeah.
And there are always things that are kind of out of control, but I felt like a lot of it was just uncharacteristic errors. Like there was a situation where Lindor got on and Dansby misplayed a ball at shortstop, and then Pete Alonso comes up next at bat, that would have been third out of the inning, and hits a home run.
Yep.
It's like, that's tough.
Odorizzi had the same situation happen. He threw a pick off with Lindor on first. Error. Lindor gets the second. Next hitter comes up, hits a fluke single into right. I say fluke single. He put the ball in play into right field, and Lindor scores. And Ronald throws all the way home, and Jeff McNeil, I think it was, ends up on second base. And then I think the next hitter gets a single, and Jeff McNeil scores. And so it's, like you said, it's just those bad things compound each other.
It is, honestly, that is how the Braves used to play in 2019 and 2020 when they were playing the Dodgers,
Mhm.
and you knew that you weren't exactly you couldn't match up.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, it feels like that's the way it is. Although the teams really aren't. I mean, yeah, they have some good free agent pickups and Scherzer and good pitching, but like I've seen the Braves crush Scherzer.
Yeah.
Nobody really crushes DeGrom, but so you just got to ride that train when that train comes to pick you up.
Yeah. The Braves have beat him plenty of times in his career too, though.
The Braves, and coming in, it's like, look,
Yeah.
hey, this is going to be a 1-0 ball game, and we got to score a run.
Yep.
Like, we got to score a run because a run off of DeGrom is as demoralizing to the opposing team as it is uplifting to you.
Yeah.
Like it's like if they give up a run, they're like, oh, crud, he gave up a run.
Yeah.
So for like, it was really interesting to watch because it felt like we were nervous and it felt like we were like, didn't think we could hang.
Yeah.
And I don't understand that, but
yeah, I don't either.
Some big guys didn't have good series either. Austin Riley didn't have a good series.
No. Dansby cooled off a bit. Ronald is still struggling. He did have a home run to center field, which we all kind of felt was a good sign. Him staying on the ball and that kind of stuff. Yeah. I mean, again,
I will say though that
like
getting back to like what Robbie was saying about like kind of characterizing them as uncharacteristic mistakes. I think that gets back to kind of what Drew's point, which is to say that like even though it's hard to watch and it's not fun to go through it, it's better to go through those kind of streaks now than later on and as we get closer to September. And the other thing is too, like it's great that they're uncharacteristic because you would expect these things to only be a blip and not some kind of like big flaw that you have to actually fix. I mean, they're probably just a down stretch of games that wasn't exactly pretty to watch. But I don't think it doesn't sound like a lot of these problems are things that anybody expects to really linger.
No, the problem. I agree with you, Barry. The only thing that kind of gives me a little pause is the fact that I also felt like this when they played the Mets at Truist the last time we had a series against the Mets. I felt like they were on edge, nervous, and I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe that's just me being a fan and wanting them to win those games.
Yeah.
But now instead of a 3-game set where you lose 2 out of 3, we've lost 2 out of 3 and 4 out of 5. So now we've lost 6 out of 8.
Yeah.
To them, which
that's tough.
Is tough, especially when you were 2.5 games going in.
Yeah. Yeah. The other thing for me is, especially like Robbie just said, the last 8 games, it has felt a lot like, again, like the Braves have won 2 of them. The one that they won on Friday night, 9-6, they were up at one point in that game, 8-0. But at no point in that game did I feel like the Braves were in control of that game. Like the Mets were putting base runners on base each inning, and they ended up scoring 6, unanswered runs. And then the Braves, I think, got a insurance run there late. But that game at no point to me ever felt like, the Braves are definitely going to win this game. It was like and to Robbie's point, I did like the especially once the Braves hit August last year and went on that run after the trade deadline, like there were not feelings of that last year. Like we would win games and it was like, we're not losing this game, except for the ones maybe where Will Smith came in towards the end of the season. And it was like, holy cow, what's going to happen here? But, and then the playoffs hit and that feeling never came in the playoffs, which was crazy. I don't know if this is a bit still me just, again, as Robbie said, as a fan, I just feel like what the Braves are lacking right now is they have some solid guys in their lineup, but I don't think there's a hitter right now. You could probably make the argument with Austin Riley, but we don't have that presence in the lineup that's like intimidating or scaring guys. And I hate to bring up the oldness of it, but like Freddie Freeman in that lineup, like that was always something you circled. And when Ronald Acuna is himself, that's always somebody that you circle. And right now, the lineup just doesn't feel like that pitchers are intimidated. Pitchers seem to go out there and, it's like, all right, we're gonna kind of dodge the big blow here and there, but we're gonna attack certain spots. I don't know. It's tough. And again, that's where I don't know if it's just me, like Robbie said, like from the fan standpoint of, something just feels missing. And I can't put my finger on it. I don't know.
I'll tell you exactly what it is. It's Ronald Acuna Jr.
Yeah.
It's Ronald Acuna Jr. I mean, I don't know if I've ever seen a prolonged period. I mean, he came up in 2018, so this is not a small sample size.
Yeah.
When he's been on the field,
he's an electric factory. Yeah,
he is, and
he's pressing because there isn't another guy there. He is the guy, and he's pressing because he is the guy. No, he is. He's pressing, and I mean, he's been saying that he's been pressing. He's struggling, and when you struggle, you press.
I think it's a mechanical. I think it's a mechanical thing. He is too long.
Yeah.
His swing, he's got lightning fast hands. His swing is too long. I mean, everybody on this podcast knows they are throwing Acuna hard and
he's not hitting it.
And he can't hit it. Yeah. I mean, when he's been going right, he takes that inside fastball and drives it out to right center
500 feet.
Shoot, he did in the dang home run derby. When he did that, and I think that was in Cleveland. Where was he in the home run derby? I know he's in it this year, but the year where he was just like making, he decided I'm just going to hit all oppo home runs.
It was the year before in Colorado, wasn't it? Didn't he go back-to-back years? Anyway.
I don't know. But that is kind of where Acuna is, and he's selling out all or nothing, and this is the reason why he is where he is. Because he's got the highest on base percentage, which is why he's stealing bases, but it was almost like him getting on first base was the best scenario for the opposing pitcher.
Yeah.
Because he'll leave the yard on you if you make a mistake.
Yeah.
He'll slash a double down the line. Like, if you just limit him to getting on first base a couple of times a game, you did your job.
Yeah.
That's not the way it is right now.
So this theory may not be right because I just need confirmation, but the ACL that he tore, it was his right leg, right? I'm pretty sure it was his right leg.
Yeah.
So one thought that I've had is I do agree with Robbie. His swing definitely this year has felt longer than most years in the past, but I'm wondering if he is not trusting that backside yet to really fire it through with that knee. And it's just not allowing him to clear the hips to even get to that ball. I mean, it's easy for me to sit here and say that, but I'm just wondering if that's something in the back of his mind. They talked early in the season he was having to learn how to slide on the other knee. I mean, I didn't even think that was a thing. So I wonder if that's something that could be in the back of his mind and he's not exploding that backside through. And it's not allowing him to clear the hands fast enough to also get to that back. I think it could be a multitude of a lot of things.
Well,
I don't know.
From the coach's perspective, and Drew could probably speak to this better than I could, but sometimes a mental problem can lead to mechanical problems, and sometimes a mechanical problem can lead to a mental problem. And you kind of need to know which.
Yeah.
kind of need to know which direction. All
Yeah.
right. Is he thinking, man, I don't know about this back knee, so he's doing something? Or did he get into a bad habit mechanically, which big league hitters do, and now it's in his head?
Yeah.
I think he's too long. I mean, I don't have the slow-mo cameras and the pitch data and all that these hitting coaches do have. And Kevin Seitser's the best hitting coach around. Like they have the best hitting coaches. Chip Jones is on retainer. I mean, like they don't have a problem coaching these guys in hitting. But at the same time, he's a man. And if he's not going to be proud enough to go in there and get some help, he knows he's doing something. I'm sure he's working and doing all that kind of stuff. But it's just really frustrating to see some. Like I tell my kids all the time, your swing's too long. We need to get you shortened up. Here's how we do it.
Yeah.
The shorter and more compact your swing is, the more time you have to see the baseball. I mean, shoot, DeGrom was throwing how hard today? 108.
100, yeah.
It was 99, but felt not 108.
I mean, you need all the time you can get.
Yeah.
Heaven forbid he throws a slider.
Yeah.
At 93.
Yeah. I would say, like, I kind of agree with you to some degree, Drew, but at the same time, Dansby Swanson had one of the best, June, Julys you could possibly have hitting right behind him. I don't think pitchers were pitching around Acuna too much because they did not want to be facing Dansby with him on base. So I think there is something to that, but at the same time, the last 60 days, Acuna has been getting a pretty healthy diet of fastballs. And I think Robbie's point of where Acuna has been hurting the Braves is he's the leadoff hitter. And when that leadoff hitter is consistently not getting on base or driving in the bottom half of that lineup, it's hard to win baseball games. I mean,
props to the Mets too, man. Like, think about Nimmo. Like, that guy is a pesky, tough out. And and they're all doing it. Yeah. Lindor. Lindor stuck his bat out and put a ball in play with 2 strikes.
Yep.
Now, granted, DeGrom is one of those, and Scherzer are like probably 2 of the most prolific strikeout pitchers in this generation of pitchers.
Yeah.
But Spencer Strider ain't no slouch. Neither is Charlie Morton. Neither is Max Fried.
Yeah.
And it's like, we felt like early on the approach wasn't really good in that April, May, and then June 1 hit, and it felt like the approach changed. I think the approach needs to start swinging back a little bit.
Yeah, I agree. I think the approach led to the home run production that was happening, and now everybody's focused again on that home run production and losing sight of the approach. And yeah, I think there needs to become a balance there. I saw a statistic or heard a statistic on the broadcast, and I'm not going to remember it offhand, and I've got to get better about writing this stuff down when it comes across. But the Braves in this statistic were like 7-17 or something like that in games that they don't hit a home run. So if the Braves don't hit a home run, the odds are they're going to lose that baseball game. So, that's – I know right now the long ball is how teams are winning baseball games, but in the era where it's unsure if the balls are dead or there's different balls going out every other ball, like we talked a lot about in June and July, putting the ball in play creates chaos. And again, I think that goes back to talking about the bad luck stuff. If the Braves would have won 4 games in this series and we would have gotten the hits, we wouldn't have been sitting here saying like, bad luck on the Mets. We'd have been like, no, the Braves did a good job and put the ball in play. So, I think it's interesting right now seeing Braves Twitter and social media and following some of that. The sky is falling, Chicken Little, a lot of that syndrome is happening. I'm just kind of sitting here like Drew said, it's August. But it's also like I think you just got to call the kettle black sometimes. Like the Mets are a good baseball team. They have a good manager. They have a good pitching staff. They have a solid bullpen. Their lineup can hit for power, and they proved it this week. They can hit for average and just get on base. They're just a solid. They're not. This is not the Mets of the old. It is a very different Mets team, and I think we as Braves fans need to embrace that. We now have. There's a rivalry there. It always has been. It's going to be give and take. The Mets are kind of, I think, blowing up a little bit just because the Braves have been pretty dominant in the division the last few years. The fact that they were doing the tomahawk chop last night did kind of piss me off. That didn't make a ton of sense.
Don't poke the bear though.
But it is what it is.
Yeah,
I mean,
ain't
poke the bear.
Ain't over yet.
Last time I checked, we're still the defending world champs until the season's over. So don't poke that bear.
Yeah.
Well, and honestly, it kind of the big change they made. I know they got some really good free agents, things like that. And you alluded to it, Scotty. It's Buck Showalter. Man, that dude's about winning.
Yeah.
That dude's about winning. And the reason I see that, the thing I see more than anything with the Mets is the fact that you have guys like Pete Alonso, Lindor, these big power guys, and they are willing to stuff it with 2 strikes, shorten it up, and put a ball in play.
Yeah.
Like, that is literally the epitome of we before me. We're playing baseball. We're trying to win a baseball game. And that's Buck Showalter.
Yeah.
That's Buck Showalter. I mean, you hear from him when he was a playoff manager for the Baltimore Orioles.
Bring Buck back. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
You're just fine,
Pretty
Barry.
good manager right now.
We're getting to you in a second.
He's good. That was my way of segueing into Orioles talk. But the Braves are going to have to figure out a way to compete. I mean, shoot.
Yeah.
DeGrom and Scherzer are pitching 40% of the days for the Mets from here on in until one of them can go or one of them gets hurt or the end of the season. So,
yeah. Yeah. So, again, I am not sitting here pushing the panic button. I think the Braves are going to be fine. We still play in a division with the Nationals and the Marlins. They always play us tough, but those are winnable games and series that we should continue to put some wins up in the win column. You would hope if you're hoping to be a playoff team, those are games that you should and have to win. So I hope this is, and I think I put it out. We put it out on our Twitter page. I hope this is a series that wakes the Braves up. They realize the competition they're going to have to play. They realize the standard of play that's going to now be required to win that division. So let's go out and do it. So I agree. I agree with all of that. Just to get into some statistics. Again, it wasn't a great statistical week by any means for really anybody. Acuna did hit 360 this week. He had 9 hits and 25 at bats. He had the home run in the Mets series. Swanson had 7 hits. Austin Riley had 6 hits. But again, the long ball is not in play this week. So, not a ton of things happening there. Spencer Strider put up another solid start. I don't think he pitched bad at all today. Max Fried,
solid.
He was solid. He had some mental things, like I don't know what was going on in his head a few times. I know he's a competitor, but sometimes he gets a little bit outside of himself, I think, but that's fine. Again, he pitched a solid game.
He an athlete, Scotty.
Yeah.
He an athlete. Although that did not look athletic.
No, it did not. Odorizzi didn't really impress me in his Braves debut, but I will say that's a tough place to have an opening debut with a team. So I'm not going to sit here and judge him strictly off of that. Charlie Morton had a good week this week, I felt like.
Gotta play better.
Got to play better. Injury news. Unfortunately, Travis d'Arnaud did get injured in the game, I think Saturday. One of the games Saturday. Lower leg injury. Negatives did come back. X-rays did come back negative, which is good. So don't know how long he'll be out, but hopefully he'll be back soon. Acuna was scratched from the game today. He had lower body soreness. I don't really know what that means, but nonetheless, I'm fine with giving him some rest. So, and then other big news: the Braves optioned Ian Anderson down to AAA today. I kind of said in our group text, I kind of agree with Robbie. It's not necessarily a good look. I thought they should have done this before the Mets series. I think letting him go down there with some low pressure innings and work on some stuff, I think could build his confidence back up. But I don't know. That's
worked
just
for Kyle Wright, so it might work for Ian Anderson.
Yeah,
it's hard to send him down because he pitched 6 innings of shutout ball the previous start before this week.
Yeah.
I mean, how do you send him down and do that after that? But I completely forgot about Huascar Noah on the game today.
Yeah.
So maybe he's a bullpen piece.
Maybe.
They got another doubleheader next weekend.
Yeah, well, and I was also going to say, I mean, at this point, trading for Raisel Iglesias, which he looked real good. I'm a big fan of his. But you got Kirby Yates coming up as well. You know, I don't know how much more bullpen arms. The bullpen can only have so many guys in it, so I don't know who else they're going to keep taking spots from down there. But we'll see.
Think about that if we still had Will Smith. Like, I doubt Will Smith was even on a playoff roster if he was still on the team.
Yeah. Well,
good problem to have, though.
Yeah. I appreciate what he did for the Braves in last year's playoffs, but watching him pitch is an experience, and unfortunately, in his debut with Houston, first batter, home run. How you doing? Not great. So
it wasn't working. It wasn't working like it should.
Something fell off a little bit for sure. So
he's got to be tipping. I think we discussed that last week.
He's got to be doing something. So I don't know, or his stuff's just not flying. So
he's only got two.
Well,
he's only got 2 things.
Yeah.
He got Pelota sorta rapido, and he's got the old Curlo, and that is not.
Yeah.
I mean, you pick one.
Yep. Look ahead this week, just real quick for the Braves. A much needed off day tomorrow after the 5 games, and then we have a 2-game series in Boston against the Red Sox. They've kind of been hit or miss this year, so I'm hoping that can be a good 2-game. Let's get us back on a win streak, and then, as Drew said, an off day on Thursday to fly down to Miami, where we have another 4 games in 3 days, Friday, Saturday doubleheader, and then Sunday before we get to come home. And we got a tough week at home. We got 4 against the Mets at home and 3 against the Astros at home. So this week we need to put up some good numbers this week. So that's the look ahead for the Braves. So, well, Barrick, you get to turn the mood of this podcast around, my friend.
Who would have thought? I mean, come on.
Are the Orioles a playoff contender?
Playoffs? Playoffs?
Man, I'm telling you.
Talk about
It's just,
playoffs?
I've said this a couple times this year. It's just nice to be competitive, man. It's just nice to actually
more than competitive.
Well, I know, but it's just the point is that I think everything is just kind of frosting at this point, because it's just like, man, we're not we're actually winning some series. We're got a chance at the wild card. I mean, there's it's been a lot of fun. Yeah, but that's what it feels like. Exactly. It feels like kind of playing with house money, because it's just like, at this point it's all gravy. But it's been a lot of fun. I know the trade deadline kind of put a little damper on things a little bit. I mean, but not anything that wasn't unexpected. I mean, it's hard to see Mancini in another jersey, especially an Astro jersey. But
he does not look.
Again, yeah. Well, I mean, he's playing okay in it, but he, it's not. Again, we expected that. Jorge Lopez, again, not unexpected. So I think it could have been a lot worse, actually. They could have had a couple more big names, or not big names, but big contributors moved as well. So I think all in all, the trade deadline, was not unexpected or anything that was devastating. They're obviously still playing pretty well. The only downer, I guess, would be that I didn't, and I texted this to you guys, like, I didn't feel like the return on those guys was very lucrative or kind of it kind of seemed like the first offer that came in, they were just kind of like, yeah, let's do it. But I guess when it's all said and done, it wasn't too bad, and yeah, they keep playing well. The schedule does get a lot harder. They've been playing like they had the Pirates was this most recent series, not exactly the Mets and Braves and Yankees, but yeah, but it's just been fun. It's fun to see the development, the improvement has been fantastic. Their defense continues to be so much better than last year, just unbelievably better. I haven't been on here since the draft, so I mean, getting Jackson Holiday was I was a little skeptical at first, but I mean, he seems like he's the real deal. Seems like he's obviously got a long ways to go before he's in Baltimore, but I mean, he seems to be a really good piece. But so yeah, I mean, it's just, I think the name of the game for them right now, to kind of answer the question, I don't expect them to make a serious playoff push, but just the fact that we're even talking about it is so much fun, especially for a franchise that hasn't even remotely been in that conversation. So that part's been really enjoyable. And I think, I was thinking about this the other day. I think that's a big reason this summer has gone by quickly for me. It's because it's like I'm not sitting here just waiting for football, just like, please God, get football here. It's like, oh, we actually have some baseball that's halfway decent to watch. So it's amazing how much of a difference that can make.
Can someone tell me why Fangraphs have the Orioles at only a 3% chance to make the playoffs?
I think it's because of the upcoming schedule.
Yep.
Yeah, their
really
schedule is significantly harder. Yeah.
Well, because the Guardians have the same record, they have a 37% chance of making the playoffs.
Yeah, and the division.
The Guardians are also in second place in their division versus Baltimore being in fourth. So there's two teams ahead of them already.
Yeah.
Yeah,
but with the new wild card, it doesn't matter.
Well, it does when the other two teams ahead of you are, in the playoffs already.
Yeah, I was actually
hoping to be shifting it down into second gear.
Like I mentioned off before the podcast started, I'm waiting on a moving company shipment, but I was hoping to have my Orioles jersey so I could wear it today because it's been a lot of fun. I think it'll be interesting to see what happens. Again, just the fact that they're even in contention is crazy to me.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, when I look at the schedule for the Orioles, it does not look terrible. I mean, they're going to have to beat some teams that are looking to be in the playoffs, but I mean, that's any team that's going to be a playoff contender. So I'm with you, Rob, like a 3% chance. I mean, they have to play the Blue Jays and the Rays. I mean, that's obviously tough. The Red Sox
own the Rays, though.
Yeah. The Red Sox are mixed in there. They've got the White Sox and Astros and the Guardians to finish this month. So that'll be a big series, it looks like, playoff-wise. But then they get to play the Athletics, the Blue Jays again, the Red Sox again, the Nationals, which they should be able to handle that, the Tigers. And then they finish the season in New York, and New York's probably not – or against New York. And, well, actually, they got a Blue Jays series at the end, but – They do well against New York, and New York's probably not going to have to win those games if we're being honest. So, I don't know. I think 3% seems pretty low.
It probably is, and it's not. The schedule's one thing. The other thing is, again, I think there's a lot of concern about the pitching staff as well. They're relying on a lot of young guys in both the starting rotation, and now again with Jorge Lopez being dealt, they've kind of depleted the bullpen a little bit. So I think there's a little bit of concern there too. That as yes, the schedule is going to get a little bit harder, but I think the question is going to be how long can this kind of young, rather inexperienced pitching staff keep them in things. So I think that's also playing a little bit of role into it. They're going to be, they're talking about Grayson Rodriguez possibly coming back. Apparently, he's made a lot of really good progress on his rehab. So they're saying that he could potentially come. And then we got D.L. Hall is almost certainly going to be in Baltimore here soon, which is exciting. But again, these are a lot of young guys that who knows how they're going to hold up as things get farther in and they just get more innings on them. So that's part of it too. Just and there's no way to predict that. Just kind of have to see what happens.
Yeah. Well, it's been real fun, especially with us kind of having some vested interest with the podcast going on and stuff. They've been fun to watch.
I just every win, I'm just like, yeah, that over is feeling a little bit better. That over.
I think the over is almost clinched at this point. I mean, they'd have to lose the rest of the season.
It was 59.5, wasn't it? What do we do?
I feel like it was lower than that.
I want to say it was in the 40s almost.
Yeah.
No, it was in the 50s. It was in the 50s. I just don't know what it was in the 50s.
Yeah,
where's Kenny when you need him?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, we'll check the tape, but it was regardless, it's that over is feeling pretty good.
I was trying to go back and see if we.
No, we didn't put it in writing.
No, we didn't. We'll have to go back and watch some of those early episodes. So,
yeah.
But anyway, yeah, I don't know. I don't think any of us picked them to win 60. I think it was maybe around 62 because I think we predicted 100 losses or more. So, I don't know. We'll see. But no, they've been fun. So we'll just do a quick standings check as well. Yankees continue to lead that division with a 70-39 record. They're 9.5 games ahead of Toronto. The Twins are hanging on to the Central by a game over the Guardians. And the White Sox have kind of snuck their way back into that conversation for that division. They're only 2 games back. Houston has been, continuing their winning ways. They're now 11 games over Seattle, who has had a very good close to the All-Star break, kind of stumbled out of the All-Star break a bit, but they're still playing some good ball and picked up some pretty key trades pieces that we'll get into here. Mets leading the East over the Braves, 6.5 games with a 70-39 record. St. Louis has overtaken Milwaukee in the Central. They now lead that division by 2 games. And the Dodgers, we were kind of talking about this before we went live. They've kind of just been going about their business, man. Kind of flying under the radar, if we're being a little honest, but they have the best record in baseball, 74-33. They're 14.5 games ahead of San Diego. So
they just beat him again. So 75-33.
Yeah. So that's 8 in a row now. Again.
I love these conversations. I know, Juan Soto was a big for San Diego, but I love these conversations of who would you rather be right now? And it's like, well, probably the team with the best record in baseball, probably them, right? Unbelievable.
Yeah, it's pretty wild.
It's culture. Obviously, the Braves last year proved that culture is a big thing. The Dodgers have it. You can't tell me that the Padres don't have the talent to compete with the Dodgers.
Yeah.
Their top 3 is Tatis, Soto, Manny Machado. Let's go.
Yeah.
The only difference there is culture. The only difference there is
the Vin Scully factor.
That's there too.
Yeah. Well, and to your point, Rob, you typically don't bring a bunch of all-stars to a team like that and have success unless those all-stars are bought into the culture and the system and we're doing things this way and this is how we do it and all that kind of stuff. So I totally agree with you on that.
This is what Bob Melvin's first year with San Diego, right?
Yeah. And he hadn't been able to coach a lot this year.
Right. He's been out with some stuff. So I give him some time because he did really well with Oakland. Obviously, I have a lot of insight to that, but he did really well with Oakland and brought them along to, playoff contention and things like that. I think he can do the same thing as San Diego because he's a pretty laid back guy and gets people to buy in. So those guys buy in, man. It could be scary.
With a much more talented roster in San Diego.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
Well, they need to because they emptied the farm to get those guys. So,
yeah, absolutely.
The Padres probably went from a top 5 farm system to a bottom 5 farm system with that trade.
Probably pretty close. In terms of the wild card standings, or just overall playoff picture, I guess I should say. So right now, the Yankees are the number 1 seed in the AL, followed by Houston and then Minnesota. And then Toronto, Tampa, and Seattle would be in the playoffs if the season ended today. Baltimore is only 2 games out. Cleveland is only 2 games out. And the White Sox are 3 games out. And honestly, the difference between Toronto and Seattle is only about 3 games as well. So AL wildcard is tight. Tight.
If you would have told me at the beginning of the year those have a better shot right now than the White Sox, I mean, oh my God.
Yeah. Yep. In the NL side, the Dodgers would be the 1, the Mets would be the 2, and the Cardinals would be the 3. Atlanta leads the wild card by 3 games over Philadelphia. And then 2.5 game. I don't know. That half game math gets me sometimes. It looks
3.5 over San Diego.
Yeah, 3.5 over San Diego and 3 over Philadelphia. And then the Milwaukee is 2 games back, and then the next closest team is the Giants, who have a losing record and they're 7 games out. So NL not as tight. Which could play in the Braves' favor, but I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, the percentages the Braves have of making the playoffs is really good. I think it's like 97%. Yeah. It's just we want to win the division.
Yep.
But at a minimum, keep that 4 seed because hosting 3 games in the wild card that's going to be key.
Huge.
Huge. It's going to be huge.
Yeah, even though that 4-5 game would currently be us playing Philadelphia, so or possibly the Padres.
We've tuned up Nola enough, I think.
Yeah,
I'd rather not see Juan Soto. I'd be fine with Philadelphia.
I mean, I'm all right if they go play in Philadelphia. Matt Olson is
he loves that stadium for some reason. Yeah,
so
he's like the Chipper to Shea.
Yes,
it's like Matt Olson to. Yep.
What's he got like 7 homers in 9 games or something like that? Some crazy stat.
Almost every game he's played, he's hit a home run in there. Almost every game.
That's exciting.
We like it. We like it. Well, we've kind of teased at it several times throughout the episode, but the trade deadline also happened this week, August the 2nd. And there were some big moves. Obviously, the one that took most of the headlines, Juan Soto heading over to the Padres from Washington. And what a haul. What a haul the Nationals got. Let me pull this up real quick.
Mackenzie Gore being the big one. James Wood, big. They're like number 3 or 4 prospect as well.
Yeah.
So I married instead of Eric Hosmer.
I married into a Washington Nationals family, and they have now said that they are no longer Washington Nationals. Juan Soto was the. But think about the people that they've lost. It's honestly like It's honestly like the Marlins and trading all those potential MVPs like Trey Turner, Scherzer, Rendon, Zimmerman retired. Now Juan Soto. It's like
Michael Taylor's not there.
I mean,
yeah,
it's crazy that all of these guys used to be all on the same team.
They
They also
basically
won a World Series. So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
And that was only 3 years ago.
That's the Marlin syndrome there, right? So, yeah.
And the Marlins still have not recovered from that.
No. So
That's
yeah,
2001.
So in return, the Padres send over Luke Voit, which we'll get into that story in a second. They get, I think the two biggest hauls, in my opinion, were left-handed pitcher Mackenzie Gore and shortstop C.J. Abrams. I think those two guys have the potential to be very good. And then they also pick up Robert Hassel III, James Wood, and Jarlin Susanna. So the Luke Voit story is a rather interesting and kind of comical one. So if you didn't follow, Eric Hosmer was actually included in the trade originally from the Padres to go to the Nationals. Hosmer has been in the league for quite a while and had a partial no-trade clause. And the Nationals were one of the teams on his no-trade clause. And he declined to waive that no-trade clause, therefore putting the trade kind of in a pause. Everybody in the league said that it was still going to get done, but it kind of put a pause on it. And the next thing you know, his old pal there, Luke Voit, gets thrown into the trade. And instead of Luke Voit kind of breathing a sigh of relief and saying, "Thank God I'm not going to Washington," about 45 minutes later, he gets a phone call that says he is going to Washington. So there were a lot of pretty funny memes and a lot of pretty funny jokes flying around social media. I think Hosmer owes him, I don't know, a bottle of wine, a nice steak dinner, something. So
probably more than that.
Voit gets the short end of the stick on that one. Hosmer very shortly after that ends up being traded to Boston. So I'm sure he'll have fun up there, I guess. But that was a rather comical situation that came about on that situation. A couple other notables: the Braves get Robbie Grossman from the Tigers in return, and the Tigers get Chris Anglin in return. Braves also do pick up Raciel Iglesias, as we talked about. That was a surprising move, I guess I would say. I did not really hear our name too much thrown around in that. The Braves trade Jesse Chavez and Tucker Davidson. Tucker Davidson had not looked too great in his last few starts with the Braves, so I kind of expected him being used as a trade piece at the trade deadline. I hated to see Jesse Chavez go just because he had pitched some pretty solid innings in the bullpen, especially some of those get us through innings. So definitely wish we could have seen him through, but we'll wish him luck out there. So we'll see what happens. But and then another comical one to me that kind of came through was Whit Merrifield to the Toronto Blue Jays. So if you are not familiar with that story, middle of July.
Same as Benintendi, right?
Yeah. Middle of July, Whit Merrifield's name popped up in news because of some critical comments he had towards the Canadian government about them forcing players to have the COVID-19 vaccine, saying that they didn't feel like that should be something mandated. He did later retract and kind of apologize for how his comments had gotten taken and that kind of stuff. But he ends up getting traded to Toronto. And lo and behold, 3 days ago, he advised that he did, in fact, get the COVID vaccine so that he is now eligible to play in Toronto. So that's a very interesting just story coming out of all that. So anyway, pretty interesting there. So, any other interesting trade topics or thoughts that came up?
Syndergaard to the Phillies.
Yep.
That Rodon didn't go anywhere.
Yep. Neither did Ohtani. That was such big talk. I mean, we all kind of expected. We didn't expect that to happen, but for as long as that got blown up, I mean, just hilarious news media.
I really felt like the Braves could have put together the same package that the Phillies did.
I agree.
For Syndergaard.
I agree.
And I mean, that would have been huge.
just another big arm to add to the NL East as well. I mean, just murderer's row of pitching rotation in the NL East now. Any given night you're facing Steven Strasburg, Max Scherzer, Noah Syndergaard, DeGrom, Chris Bassett, Alcantara, the other guy, Lopez. And then on the Braves, you've got Max Fried, Kyle Wright, Spencer Strider. I mean, sign me up any franchise, give me 5 of those people, and I'd be any 5 of them, I'd be just fine. So, pretty wild. But I don't know. There were a lot of little trades that happened. I think the Seattle Mariners, it was really good to see them continue to be all in and pick up Luis Castillo. A lot of people did not have him going there. A lot of people had him going to the Yankees, or you even saw the Dodgers name get thrown around there. So I kind of liked that a quote unquote smaller market team made a move and went out and got a guy. So that'll be interesting to see how that kind of shakes out. And if that can help push them a little further.
Does he have control past this year, Castillo?
I don't think so. I think he will be a free agent after this year, but if somebody wants to fact check that contract, they can. The fun baseball trades that I feel like only happen in the MLB. Christian Vasquez gets traded from the Red Sox to Houston while Houston is in Boston, or while Boston's in Houston, one of the two. And so he finds out literally on the field during warmups, and so he just goes into the clubhouse, walks over to the other clubhouse, and here's your jersey. So
they were not very happy about that either, because he had just went through the hitters meeting with the Red Sox. So now he's going over to Houston, and he now knows exactly how they're supposed to attack the Houston pitching. So the Red Sox are not very happy about that.
Yeah, that was a tough look. So
all right, boys. Here's what's going to happen today.
How many feet are in a mile, Petey?
You're going to run 5,280 of them, every single one of them.
You're going to pick this football up, and you're going to run every single one of them. You're killing me, Christian. You're killing me.
Castillo does have one more year of control. He'll be ARB 3 next year.
ARB 3. So they get 2 postseasons out of him. So,
yep.
Yeah, I mean, I would agree. We've got in the chat down here, Hayden. The Mariners gave up quite a bit in that trade. I believe it was 4 of their top 6 prospects. Let's pull up and see what we got here. They actually made that trade in July. So if we hop back, that was the wrong button. Yeah, so they sent shortstop Noelvi Marte, Edwin Arroyo, Levi Stout, and Andrew Moore. So, that was definitely a big prospect haul. But again, two playoff runs is not bad. It's not a 1-season rental, which I think the Mariners were probably going to be a little smarter than that, just because they let the Astros get such a big lead at the beginning of the season. It wasn't something they were going to kind of put together. And probably shoot to win that division this year. But they've got some pieces when they brought over Winker and Suarez. Julio Rodriguez impressed all of us at the home run derby, and he's going to be something of a sight for the next few years. And so, continuing to bolster that rotation for a stretch run through the wild card, and then, again, possibly competing for that division next year. And hey, if something happens, you just use him as a flip piece to maybe get some prospects back next year at the deadline. So I think it was a smart move for them. And we'll see how it plays out. Obviously, we'll go from there. Any other trade news you guys felt was pretty solid?
I'm glad we didn't get Joey Gallo.
Amen to that.
Sorry, Rob.
Yeah. Robbie Grossman.
We'll see how it goes for the Dodgers. We'll see.
Yeah. Robbie Grossman does not have quite the pop that Joey Gallo does, but I don't think he'll strike out as much as he will the rest of the season either. So TBD on that.
Hey, look,
there's a lot of money on his contract too.
Look, the Dodgers the Dodgers took a flyer on him. We all know what kind of player development the Dodgers have, so
Yeah.
TBD on all those. I'm glad we didn't get Robbie. I'm glad we didn't get Joey Gallo.
Yeah.
So just hold
knowing our luck, we'll be sitting here end of October. Joey Gallo hits a walk-off home run in the NLCS, and it's like, well, suck on that for a second. So, yeah.
If he's on the playoff roster.
True. Pretty crazy. I thought it was pretty surprising. The Braves announced by the end of the July deadline, they successfully signed all 22 of their draft picks. I thought that was very impressive. They, especially considering they drafted quite a few high school players. So pretty solid to see there.
That extra bonus pool money they got in the trade with the Royals, gave them a better draft strategy. The Braves' lower farm system is depleted.
Yeah.
Yes, true.
The biggest thing I think over the trade deadline was the 10-year, $212 million Austin Riley signing.
Very true.
That's pretty big, man. Because you think about the entire, let's see, Albies, Olsen, Riley, Acuna, all signed now.
Contreras still has 5 years of team control.
Yeah, they're all through 2027 right now. At least 2027.
Michael Harris.
Michael Harris has 6 years, unless he wins Rookie of the Year, which he will get an extra year of MLB service time, which I find that'll hurt. But
it'll be okay.
Yeah, but I think the Braves do. The Braves get some kind of incentive for that as well. I don't remember what it is. I'd have to go back and look at the news of the CBA that they put together. But him and Spencer Strider are kind of leading the pack right now in terms of NL Rookie of the Year. So
I think it's Strider's to lose.
Yeah.
Unless Michael Harris goes nutso in August and September, hits 10 home runs in 8 weeks or something like that. But
I'd love to see it. I'm not going to complain.
I don't know, man. Strider's fastball. That's another level. But
yeah,
Austin Riley deserves every bit of it. But it's honestly a master class in Alex Anthopoulos, knowing when to strike and giving a player what they want, but also getting value and not overpaying for it.
Yeah.
Like the Nationals cold calling Juan Soto and offered him $440. That's
wild.
That's wild. But and then trading him 6 weeks later.
But not even 3 weeks later.
It was a but it is. You're telling me those players, not a single one of them is going to make over $22 million for the next 6 to 8 years. You're talking about Ozzie Albies, Acuna, Matt Olson, Austin Riley. None of them are going to make over $22 million, and they're all cool with it.
Yeah.
Well,
that we know of.
We can always restructure.
Yeah, that we know of. So my question that I have after that signing is: do you think that this influences Dansby's decision in any way? Does this make him more willing to take less money because he wants to stay with this core group of people for that long, or? Because he talks so much about how much he loves playing in the city of Atlanta. He loves being at home. He loves all of that stuff. That's such an intangible that other teams can't give him. But at the same time, you got to get your money, and he's having a very good season this year. I don't think he's worth $30 million a year in terms of an AAV, but 23 to 25 over 5 years. That's a 5-year, $110 million deal. I don't know if you sign something like that.
He's currently worth 22.1.
I'll be honest with you.
That was his ARB.
That's his market value as of right now.
Okay.
Would it surprise you if Alex Anthopoulos and them don't go after him very hard? Because I'll be honest, when they were talking prospects and Alex Anthopoulos after the trade deadline, he mentioned two guys, Kyle Muller and Vaughn Grissom. And in the top, I think they have Vaughn Grissom rated really, really high.
Yeah.
And the Braves are notoriously good at having these high-impact, big league-ready first-year players coming up that are not highly ranked. Like Spencer Strider wasn't a high-ranked MLB.com prospect. Michael Harris was like a fringe top 100 guy, but not anywhere like this. And now you're talking about both of them for Rookie of the Year. Like,
yeah.
I think – I don't know. But on the other side, I also understand that Dansby's got a lot of business and a lot of extra stuff outside of baseball that connect him to the city of Atlanta and to the state of Georgia.
Yeah. Well, and he's from there. Again, his family's there. I mean, he enjoys playing in front of that crowd. So I think that's pretty sweet. So I don't know. We'll see. Do you think if Anthopoulos had been the general manager for like the last 10 years, he would have got Dansby signed sooner at a very similar kind of Austin Riley type deal to not be in this situation?
No. He didn't perform.
Yeah.
He didn't perform like this and not consistently. I mean, over the last 162 games, Austin Riley has 45 home runs and 120 some RBIs and hit 316. Like,
yeah,
he's done it. Like, that's enough. Acuna, same thing. Ozzy, same thing. Like, those guys came up and produced at a high level consistently. Dansby hadn't been consistent up until this year. I mean, he's had streaks. He's always been a good shortstop.
Yeah.
So you just don't know. And
I hear you. We'll see what happens. It'll be an interesting offseason with him. I'd like to see him go ahead and try to get Max Fried locked in for a short period, for a time period. That would be, I don't want to let him kind of get to free agency. Even though I've seen some rumors that the Braves might not be aggressive in re-signing him just because his development took a little longer, and so he was older coming out. So, he's talking about hitting free agency at like 31, which as a pitcher is a little bit old, quote unquote there. So I don't know. There's going to be some decisions to be made coming up about this core group of players, and it'll be interesting to see what happins. But to your point, Drew, of all of this, I'm ecstatic to have Austin Riley there for the next 10 years. So
I take Matt. I mean, look what Scherzer's doing at 38. Look what Verlander's doing at however old he is, 40.
Yeah.
I mean, like Max Scherzer goes to the post every fifth day, and hadn't had a lot of injury bugs.
Yeah.
Since he's kind of been up there.
Except for his hand getting bit by his dog, apparently, which is just fluke. It's fluky. It's going to happen. So I think
give the dog a bone with your right hand, Max.
I'm going to kind of spotlight a comment here just because I feel like we need to kind of just address it a little bit. Mr. Impound here. We at no point, I don't think, really criticized Citi Field. It's a nice new ballpark, but to your point of how does a team get a ballpark within 20 years here, the city of Atlanta actually built Turner Field in the 90s for the Olympics, and the Braves leased that stadium from them the whole time. And it became an issue of the city not wanting to put money in it for upgrades. So the Braves built their own stadium. So I don't really know what else to tell you on that one other than, I guess maybe you don't know as much about the Braves Stadium, who just won the World Series. Maybe, I don't know. So, but anyway.
And he's not wrong. They couldn't get a sellout at Turner Field. It was in a tough part of Atlanta.
Yeah.
It was very difficult to do for traffic. I mean, I remember you and me and Ryan Dolscott going down there and having very interesting experiences getting in there. And it was also where Fulton County Stadium was.
Yeah.
The Fulton County Stadium was not a stone's throw from where Old Turner Field was. And so all of those kind of factors went into that.
Yeah. When you have to walk past a guy named that calls himself by a proper name of White Boy, you're in an interesting part of town for sure.
Let me just also say from personal experience, don't skip out in extra innings to try and walk back to your hotel room at like 1:00 in the morning from that old stadium. Just saying, don't do it. Just don't. Yeah.
So anyway, I just felt like we needed to address that as a podcast. Like, I did not feel like we were disrespecting Citi Field. It's got a great atmosphere. We actually tweeted.
He's more concerned about the fact that you were calling it Shea Stadium for a long time.
Well, I mean, that's been my whole life. So I'm shocked. I'm shocked they actually stopped calling it that. So, but
probably because Chipper had something to do with that. I don't know.
Yeah.
He did name his son Shea, one of his kids, because
I'd name him Shea too if I owned the stadium like he did.
Yeah, for sure. So anyway, it's all fun. I mean, again, whatever.
It wasn't even apologetic about it. He's like, I named it because I dominated there.
Yeah. So
in only a way that Chipper Jones could say something like that and it not sound as pretentious as possible.
Yeah. So I just wanted to address that. It was not meant to be disrespect, but I mean, we've tweeted out this week, Edwin Diaz has one of the best closer walkouts in the league right now. So
yes,
I mean, just it's all good. So, but to answer your question in a legitimate way, that's how the Braves get a stadium after 20 years is they technically didn't own that stadium. So, anyway, Mets talk with Hayden. Truist Field is an unbelievable experience. It does sell out. It is loud. There's an area around the outside called the Battery that has a ton of shops, breweries, restaurants. So you can kind of make a day out of the whole experience. You can get down there at like 12 o'clock for a 7 o'clock game, hang out, eat some food, listen to some live music, and then you kind of hop in there and watch a game. There's not really a bad seat in the house. I've walked around the whole stadium, so highly recommend it. It's a good stadium to be, and it's essentially for all intents and purposes still brand new. It's only been open for 3 years, so worth a trip if you can get out there and take a look at them. So, sweet. Players of the week. Unless anybody has any disagreements, Drew sent me over some, and to be honest, I didn't really see anybody too far out of that was any better, so I didn't have any disagreements. So Nolan Arenado for our hitter of the week, he hit 476. He had 10 hits, 2 doubles, 3 home runs, 8 RBIs with a 1.56 OPS. That's pretty killer. That's wild. Pitcher of the week, Kevin Gossman. He went 1-0. He pitched 14 innings, gave up 7 hits, no runs, 1 walk, and had 15 Ks. So pretty solid of him. The only other one that
an Oriole.
used to be a Brave.
Yeah, he did.
That's true.
Only other pitcher that did kind of pique my interest was Jacob deGrom, making his 2 starts this week in his debut. He pitched 10 innings, gave up 4 hits, 3 runs, but he struck out 18 over 10.2 innings. That's pretty solid. But that's just Jacob deGrom being Jacob deGrom.
And Alcantara had another CG.
Is that dude's arm literally just like rubber? I mean, like, just absolutely wild. He is a guy I would love for the Braves to figure out how to get, but obviously it's just not going to happen. So, anyway, all right. Let's hop into our stack bets here real quick. Rob had to hop off a little bit early tonight. He's got an early start to his day on the golf course. Got some bunkers to rake through at 6:30 in the morning, I think. So, so we'll knock out our stack bets for the week here. Let's see. I guess I technically won last week. Well, Drew and I kind of tied, I guess, winnings. But I did win both of mine, so maybe that gives me a better winning percentage.
You got 2 out of your 2. Go ahead, man.
So I'm gonna
because one of yours I almost did myself.
Yeah. So I'm gonna put up 2 bets two stack bets this week. I'm going to go 50 stacks that the Braves are going to win 5 games this week. I feel like it's a bounce back week. They're playing 2 at Boston, and then they've got 4 in Miami. I just, 5 out of 6 this week just feels like something they need to do to get back on track. And I like Austin Riley to get back on track too. I think he's going to pepper that green monster for a couple nights. So I'm putting up 25 stacks that he's going to hit three or more home runs this week. So Braves 5 or more wins and Austin Riley 3 or more home runs. Total of 75 stacks being put up for the week. Drew, you want to run through yours?
So I did 25 Braves win 4 or more games. I originally wrote down 5, and I was like, I'm going to go with 4.
Yep.
50 stacks on the O's, taking 4 games this week or more. And then I went on the same lines. I went with Austin Riley and 2 bombs last week, and I just got a feeling, man, just like you said, the big green monster, just a week that they need to get back on track. I feel like I said 2 or more home runs this week. So hopefully we're both right on all of those accounts, and we'll all be happy campers.
Hey, he went with your Orioles again, Barrick.
I'm telling you, man, I love it.
I may or may not have somebody invested in that program that just hit 4 bombs in 6 games, and all of them were no less than 431 feet.
Love it.
We need to get him up to Baltimore.
He may be in AAA sooner than later.
Yeah.
The way he's been swinging, man, he's locked in. He is locked in right now.
Love it. Barrick, you got any you want to throw out, or you want to text them and get them into the show notes for the week?
Probably the biggest one for me is that I will put everything I have on the idea that if there's not a moving truck in my driveway this week, I will absolutely lose my mind. No, in all seriousness,
170 stacks. Barrick stays out of jail this week.
I got 180. I can take 180 on that, right?
No. In all seriousness, I'm gonna pass this week and get some in via text.
Okay, all good. So for those of you listening, just make sure you check out the show notes. Barrick will text them in. I'll reach out to Robbie, see if he wants to throw in a stack bet for the week since he had to hop off early. And so just check out those show notes for any of our updates on the stack bets there. All right, boys. Any last words you want to depart with? Drew, I'll start with you. Anything we didn't cover that you want to touch base on?
No, I'm pretty sure Robbie was very, very much on track. I pulled some stats on Acuna, man. His exit velos on in pitches are the highest is 84.5 miles an hour. So
that's not
we know he's not getting to it. So,
yep.
But no, man, looking forward to hopefully Braves bounce back and cut this Mets lead down a little bit more. And big week for Courtney's son, Bodie. He's gonna graduate pre-K on Friday, so that's gonna be pretty awesome.
Love it. Barrick, other than your moving truck showing up, which we're all very hopeful for, anything else you got going on?
Just me and Denzel gonna go watch some Remember the Titans and get our go on, man. That's
You're a Hall of Famer in my book.
Yeah, boy.
Oh, I love it. Well, I'll leave you with this. Denzel final count of the night. We'll finish on the solid 6.
Where's my banana? Where's my banana?
That's pretty good.
I love it. As we've kind of talked about, August, I love August. My wife's birthday. It's my birthday. Summer baseball. Little League World Series is on.
Yeah.
I love watching that. We're big proponents of youth sports in general. Robbie and I had the opportunity to coach with Cal Ripken for a couple summers. Drew has coached a majority of us on this podcast in Little League Baseball. Barrick has played youth sports throughout his time. So the Little League World Series is just always fun to watch and truly see, a passion. They're not playing for money. And honestly, those guys just they show some good class on the baseball field as well. So I'm just excited for August, man. It's a good month, and it's the segue into the fall, which is my favorite season as well. I'm just pumped for this time of year. So we'll kind of roll with it.
Just to clarify, they're not playing for money, but we can still stack better, right?
Yeah.
Well, we could stack bet the Little League World Series.
Yeah.
You smart guy.
Yeah.
Yes.
Tune in. That'll be a
Yes.
separate stack bet challenge.
There you go.
So we'll put together a segment for that and see where we go. So, well, boys, it's always been a pleasure. We appreciate everyone tuning in and listening this week. If, as always, you have anything you would like to send into the show, comments, questions, segments you would like to see us cover, anything like that, the email here on the screen, first23rdpod@gmail.com. That's the word first, the number 2, the word third, and then pod@gmail.com. Also, check out the links in the description below. Follow us on Instagram and on Twitter. We're trying to be as active as we can over there, posting live game updates, MLB happenings, all that fun stuff. So be sure to follow us over there. And as always, here on YouTube, we'd appreciate it if you'd like the video, hit that subscribe and notification bell so you can be sure to not miss out on any content. But as always, we appreciate the community and the comments tonight. It's been real fun to interact with you guys, and we look forward to coming back to you next week with all the MLB news and happenings. So until then, peace.